Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the countdown. Oh.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Still Knick Fans podcast. This is our Know the Ledge live podcast. Today is a more of a special type of get together. We've got your man Ron right here. I got my brother John over there, and we got a special guest, Mike, coming at us all the way from the West Coast. Some say the best coast. I don't know.
Originally from the East Coast, but so I still follow the Knicks. I still follow the East Coast sports, but living out on the West Coast and the fun and sun these days.
Oh man, listen, I'm envious, but I'm happy that you're here, bro.
Yeah, that's a fact. Cause I still got snow on my floor.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look, man. We got to get away from the snow, bro.
I'm gonna go hit the beach. I'm gonna hit the beach tomorrow. So I'll be thinking of you guys.
All right, listen, we had a special guest, guys. He's never too good, man. Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming on and jumping on with us. We basically just wanted to chop it up a little bit and talk about the Knicks and where they're at right now.
Yeah.
And also the fact that, hey, I mean, it's All-Star weekend. We just came off of the All-Star game. Julius Randle making his first appearance. We had Obi Toppin getting robbed in the freaking dunk contest. But, it is what it is, man. First off, the dunk contest wasn't that great to begin with, but I'm going to take it for what it was. Obi did all right. I like what he tried to do. But what do you guys think about the All-Star festivities?
Well, the problem with go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Chime in right now. I don't have much to say about it. I caught bits and pieces of it because I was on the run all day. I was driving around left and right, so I ain't got much to say. I caught pieces of it. So go ahead, go for it, Mike.
I was gonna say that the problem with the dunk contest is like everybody's done every type of. We've all seen every type of dunk that these guys do. So barring something like jumping over the backboard, there's nothing that can wow you in a dunk contest. I mean, I gotta say that the best dunk contest I've seen recently was when Zach LaVine beat Gordon. I mean, LaVine just does some ridiculous. He's got some ridiculous options. He's got ridiculous moves, and there's just some guys like Obi Toppin is a big guy. He's not. He's a great dunker, but he's not built like for the dunk contest. It's very rare these big guys, come off really impressive in the dunk contest because people want to see little guys getting air and doing crazy stuff. And so,
no, you're right. I mean, actually, that's probably the reason why was it Anthony Simons won tonight, because the guy's got hops out the gym. He's small. He's I think 6'3", but the way he was jumping, but he wasn't even doing anything spectacular. But I think they just liked the idea of him being smaller and the type of air he got. I don't know. It was just weird.
It looks nice. It's all artistry. It's all artistry that these guys do. What they should do, and I was thinking about this the other day, I'm like, they should just have like the best dunkers in the world, not even in the NBA, but some of the best dunkers come and have a grand prize or something like that, where you're guaranteed to see great dunks.
That's a great idea, actually. I would say that I would even try to figure out if there's an NBA player who is willing to go up against just someone who dunks on a regular just for a living, you know what I mean? Like
that might be the big problem, finding a guy to do that. Like a Zach LaVine versus one of the best dunkers. That would be amazing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the thing. That would be very entertaining, but I don't think any of them would be willing to go up against, because I've seen some of these guys that just dunk for a living, and their dunks are ridiculous. I mean, spectacular. This guy threw something over his head behind it, and then he dunked it like with his left. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, they do some wild stuff. Yeah.
Right, but that's the type of entertainment that they need in this All-Star game. You know what I mean? So it's like, you bring a Zach LaVine or a Gordon in, and then you say, okay, this is because now you're talking about highest level versus highest level, right? You have highest level NBA player. The skills.
Well, you know, the NBA All-Star Weekend is supposed to be for fun anyway, right? It's supposed to be entertaining for the fans. So, I mean, they've changed the All-Star game, and I think they've changed it for the better, doing, you know, kind of winning quarters, and then the scoring 24 to get to a final score. Last year's All-Star game, best All-Star game I think I've ever seen. This year's, it just wasn't as competitive, but the guys were really playing down the stretch, and to see the best guys in the world like really competing is exciting. I mean, the only thing that would be, I think, more exciting in an All-Star game is if you had no refs and guys are calling their own fouls, and these guys were really, that would be fun. That would be really fun.
Yeah, you know,
nobody would call a foul.
It's almost like, I mean, for me, I'll be honest, I don't tune into the All-Star game. I'm not a big fan of it. I just don't like, I don't know. Ever since I was young, those were probably the last few times that I enjoyed watching it. I think one of the last All-Star games I enjoyed watching was the Magic Johnson one. Correct.
Yep.
And that one was fun. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, but I will say this. Historically, every fourth quarter they turn it on, and then it becomes an exciting game. But other than that, I don't want to watch the first three quarters.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there was some magical. Yeah, so he was turning it up, right? He does like him and Lillard. I think they went back to back, and they were doing like nice little alley oops to each other with also Chris Paul. But like you when you think back of some of the All-Star games back in the day, you had like your like there was some unique fourth quarters, right? The Tracy McGrady fourth quarter, the battle between Iverson and Kobe, and you know, even like Steph had a moment at one time, you know, so, you know, you I don't know, you got to take the good with the good and the bad with the bad, you know, not all of it's going to be great.
Right.
So,
you got to have the All-Star game because I think some of the most iconic moments in NBA history happened on All-Star weekend, right? Old slam dunk contest, Michael Jordan, Dominique, you got Magic Johnson, which you mentioned earlier, and other moments that are just like, you know, you got one guy that just lights it up, and he'll live on in NBA history, and everybody remembers that from their childhood.
Yeah, Craig Hodges, and the 3-point contest. He's like,
right? Exactly.
I didn't miss.
That's the only thing he did. That's what he's known for.
That's his moment. That's his moment. He definitely took over. Well, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I think that it's still entertaining, and you know, obviously, there's still a bunch of young people out there that like basketball, and it's entertaining for them. They're not as involved as a sports fanatic that maybe I am or you guys are, where some of this stuff is just not as entertaining when it's so much, you know, dunks and alley oops, guys playing no defense. The young people like that, so it's not that bad.
Yeah. I also like that you know, I want to say like every 3 to 4 years, something spectacular happens that no one has witnessed before, right? Because the Levine and Gordon, I think those slam dunk contests were interesting because Gordon had won it prior to Levine, right? So everyone was like, okay, we know Levine could jump out the gym, but can he compete with Gordon? You know what I mean? Like, because he was like, you know, he really showed up. So then when you've seen it in person, you're like, oh wow, that was magical. You know what I mean? But you're not gonna get that every year. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the thing. You tune in to see if there's a special something that may happen. You know, like
I watch NBA dunk contests every year because I'm like, somebody's gonna do something that I've never seen, and it's gonna be, and I'm just gonna jump out of my seat and be like, oh my god, that was amazing. You know, and I want to see it live. I just want to see it live.
Yeah, this one fell a little short though.
Well, quite honestly, any of these guys do one of these dunks in the park, and everybody in the park would be going insane. You know, it's like
we were going inside it. Yeah. We were going insane if someone just dunked. It was like you got the dunk. Oh!
Used to be just clapping on someone was enough.
That's a fact. No, I agree. I hope that something happens maybe next year. And you know what? Your idea is it's not far-fetched, because I think, you know, maybe that's one of those things, because sometimes a lot of these guys don't even want to do this. Like LeBron will never do a dunk competition, and he's been one of the best dunkers in the league for years, right? But maybe take it out of the NBA.
He didn't do it once? He never did it at all?
Never.
Oh,
never. There was one year he teased us, and he said that he was doing it. He started practicing, and just to not do it.
Yeah,
it's not the first time LeBron has teased the fans or fans, or but whatever. Anyway, sorry, flashbacks. My bad.
That's funny.
I'll never get over it. Okay. But yeah, so I think that it was cool to see Randall in the All-Star game. He had a couple moments. He had it was cool to see him play and do his thing. I think it was nice to see Obi get a shot at being a part of All-Star festivities, because maybe a long time before he gets back there, unless he changes something with his game. So that's cool. I was a little confused about the other game, the Rising Stars game, because did that happen, or was it tomorrow or something?
They didn't have it this year.
It didn't happen.
Oh,
because
okay.
of COVID, they didn't have it. So
got it. So they did
the three-point slam dunk and the skills competition.
Got it. Okay, so RJ got invited to be a part of it, but it didn't happen. Okay. It's kind of whack. Okay, all right. But anyway.
Well, he gets to stay out there in the bubble, right? I guess, because that's what it was, right? They went to Atlanta. Was it in Atlanta?
Atlanta, yeah.
Yep.
So I guess they created the bubble, and some of the players can bring their family and friends and hang out. So
I guess that part of it is cool. At least you get that part of it. All right. Well, it is what it is. Hey, man. We'll just.
It's All-Star Weekend, and we winning. We won. One game above 500.
So that's right. Enjoy it.
If that's not evidence enough that Randall deserves the All-Star nod, I don't know what is, because the Knicks would not be. They would be probably 9 or 10 games below where they are now without Randall. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, he totally changed his game from last year. I mean, he's always had the offensive skills, but he's become more of a leader. He's a go-to guy in the clutch, and he facilitates the offense. Like, he wasn't doing that last year, and last year was harder for him to do that, I think, because he had Morris there. Like, it was just like a lot of pieces that were good players in their own right, but don't really fit. And then the coaching was all.
They were best friends. He was trying to be friends with everyone.
Kind of a mess. The coaching was kind of a mess. So last year was like, I'm glad that he at least, they although I liked Morris too, and he had a great year last year. Randall needed, I think, Morris to move on for him to step up and become the leader, and he has, and he deserves it this year. And
you're right.
He's leading a team. He's leading the team. The guys look to him, and it's him and Thibodeau have really transformed, I think, the mindset of this team. And building culture, man. That's what it takes. You know what I mean? And it takes like that foundation, and it's great because Tibbs came from a foundation of that. You know what I mean? He came from a Knicks foundation, and it's great to see him bring that back. You know what I mean? Bring that, that intensity to coaching back, because he's on the sideline and he's not taking any breaks. You know what I mean? So I love to see that. Like back in the day, you would see the same thing from Van Gundy, and Pat Riley. We didn't see that in the last decade. We haven't seen that.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
Thibodeau seems to be pushing all the right buttons, right? I mean, he's like. He's mixing the lineups up, and the guard rotations, and some guys get hurt, other guys come in. I mean, even you had Frank Ntilikina that was not even in the rotation in the beginning of the year, and then he got his opportunity. I think he's motivating guys to be better, and that's the sign of a good coach.
I agree with you. I think that a telltale sign about it is New York fans are we're fickle, and we're not happy about different things. But Thibodeau, he may not be perfect. He makes a couple moves that maybe upset the fan base, and we get a little. But it's about the transition, because we may be mad for a couple days, and then all of a sudden he does something good, or the Knicks do something good, and we forget all about it. And that's the difference between him and some of these other coaches we've had in the past. There's been a lot of negativity carried out for a long time, and no positive light. So things are definitely good on the tips. I would say I'm happy with that signing.
Well, none of the guys, seem to be complaining either. Like even in Austin Rivers, who's kind of, lost his way out of the rotation at this point. He had some really great games early in the year, but he kind of lost the consistency, and they brought in Rose, but so Rivers kind of has lost. He's lost in the rotation. He's not really complaining. He's being professional about it, and I think he respects what Thibodeau's doing and his teammates, and so that was not always there for the Knicks, and that's part of what John was, I think, alluding to with like the winning culture.
I agree.
Part of it.
And since you brought up like early in the year, I was thinking, well, first I'll go to you, John. What do you think about as far as the Knicks have been, this first half of the season? Like, who do you think has, stood out or had good first halves as far as players go?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the likes like the likes of Austin had some really good games, and you quickly. I think what I've noticed outside of Randall is that finding a rookie like a Quickly who can bring that kind of excitement to the team, to a team like the Knicks. We were looking for a guy like that. We've had options like that before, like when you talk about Trier and Jeremy Lin and so on and so forth. We've always had guys who come in and give us a spark, but it's different when you get a rookie class, a guy who's 24th pick, right, to come in and kind of show up and kind of put consistent numbers up and just giving that excitement, bringing that excitement to the Knicks basketball. It's great to see a kid like that show up, because in my mind, I thought it was going to be Toppin. And I was like, in my head, I was like, because it's the beginning of the year, who would have thought Randy would have been that guy, right? Like everybody wanted to trade him. You know what I mean? I know I was on board. I was like, look, if they trade him, that's great. They can get something for him. But, all of a sudden he switched it around, and now we're looking at the team. We're like, oh, okay. And then we got Barrett's playing. Well, Barrett didn't really start out great, but then he started playing well. And then you're like, okay, you got a nice 1-2 combo. And then all of a sudden quickly hits the main stage, and you're like, oh, we got a gem. You know what I'm saying? And that just, it was great. It was great to see.
I think part of the excitement around Quickly is the fact that the Knicks have screwed up so many first-round draft picks, and just
that is a fact.
Frederick Rice's of the world over Ron Artest, like all these, and it's like finally, we've
don't remind us.
RJ Barrett was a good, I think, the no-brainer pick. Like you gotta make that pick at that position last year. There's been few picks that the Knicks have made, and the fact that they passed on Tyrese Halliburton over to take Toppin. So it was like, man, if Halliburton ends up being a better player than Toppin, and right now he's looking pretty. I like Toppin, but Halliburton's looking pretty good. But I can handle it because I'm like, okay, we got Quickly later. Exactly. We got Quickly later. So, and I think he's having just as good, if not a better, rookie season than Halliburton.
So true.
I think the part of the excitement is like, wow, we didn't screw this up this year. Like we actually did some smart picking, and that I think is part of the excitement with Quickly too.
Well, hey man, I agree with you. I think that that's definitely the case. Although something in the back of my mind tells me that at the end of the year, Halliburton may wind up having a better overall, because he does so many different things, and his knock is just, can he start scoring effectively like other guys? But lately he's been scoring, so that's I gotta watch him. But I'm definitely happy with Quickly, and I agree with you on that. Were you thinking anybody else, John?
No, that was kind of what I was going at. I was just going with it. I think Quickly is my kind of surprise, for the year, for the first half at least. Second half it could be someone completely different, but
we don't know.
Half, I'm gonna say Quickly is the surprise for me, because I didn't expect that. I expected Toppin to have heavy minutes, to start the season, because in my mind we were moving off from Randall. you see how things it just changed over, and it is, we're in a whole. It's just different now, like what we thought it would have been back when the season started is not what we're dealing with today. So
yes, that is very, very true. Mike, I know you chimed in on quickly. Was there anybody else you were thinking of, or was that kind of?
Well, I'd say, a couple things. I mean, like coming into this season, I didn't know they made a couple of signings in the off season and draft picks. It's like I don't know if this team doesn't look that much different than last year.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to be kind of the same, kind of same trend, and we're in the Cade Cunningham, sweepstakes at the end of the year for the number one pick? Yeah, I mean, I was like kind of excited. I was kind of excited that we're going to have a shot at them, but now, I think some of the surprises, quickly is an obvious surprise. Sure.
Yep.
Randall just kind of making, in my opinion, that leap to a legit max guy. I mean, he could have gotten a max contract even last year, probably, but in my opinion, now he's deserving and probably a piece of the Knicks' future. That they're gonna look to add to him going forward, and maybe not build around him, but he's going to be one of the big three if the Knicks can ever get to that point. Right. And the defense has just been a big surprise.
Impeccable. Impeccable.
You're in today's NBA, I think they're holding teams to like 103 points a game.
Average. Everybody
else, the majority, I would say 95% of the league is like 110 plus points against. That is huge. And,
all we have to do is take a 15-minute drive, 15-minute train ride over to Brooklyn and see how much they're giving up. Like 130 or something crazy like that.
150. They're scoring 150, so it's okay for them. But the Knicks to win, they need to play that game because they don't they have Randall. Barrett's still kind of coming into his own, but they don't have a lot of go-to guys down the stretch. It's Randall right now who can make a bucket. And, the defense, they got Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson that, these guys, I don't even know they played much together. And lately it's been Nerlens Noel, and he's been, in my opinion, been playing unbelievable on the defense. And it's infectious. And so that's been the biggest surprise for me is like their defense has just been.
I can't argue with you. I agree. Everything you guys both said is definitely bright spots for the Knicks. Going forward. Hopefully it continues. The only thing I would add possibly is Julius Randle is without saying. Everybody knows that whatever he's doing is incredible. We expect him to be okay. He's going to get like his rebounds and put up some points. But the way he's been playing overall has been fantastic. So I definitely give him his props, his kudos for becoming an all-star for the first time, and still doing it. Not just having some good games here and there where we say, "Oh, Julius, he played good tonight." Julius has been playing good for most of the season. So that's been great. And the other thing I would say is not to shortchange him, because sometimes what happens to me is I play a lot of fantasy sports. Fantasy baseball is probably the most fun I have because there's so many different players and anybody can help you. And notoriously in the past, when I was younger, I would have a guy on my team and I wouldn't wait for him. I'd be like, oh, this guy's killing me. I'm losing. I got to get him off my team. I trade him in like the first 3 weeks. And next thing I know, he's a superstar for somebody else's team. So the bottom line is with RJ Barrett, for example, who's had a lot of ups and downs this year, if you actually just look at his numbers and look at his stats, he's had a great first half of the season. Even his shooting, RJ's not the best shooter in the league by no stretch, right? Yeah. But if you look at his shooting, even from 3-point line, I was looking at a month-to-month breakdown. He's improved every month. He went from 12% to 30% to 47%. Right now in March so far, he's shooting 50%.
That wasn't hard to do when you start to shoot 12%. Yeah. That first week was horrific.
And but it was really bad. Yeah.
To his credit, he turned it around. You know what I mean? And to go back to Randall, you know, listen, they already nicknamed him, man. He's the Black Messiah.
Yeah.
I love it. You got it.
Yeah, he's the dude right now. Him, and I'm hoping for you know, we'll see what happens, but you know, I don't want to, you know, say it's going to happen, but I have a good feeling that in the second half of the season, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but I think the franchise is going to do some things. That's my Nilakina thing, the franchise.
The franchise.
But, you know, the thing that I wanted to touch on real quick, being that, you know, I think it's kind of cool, you know, when we were young, you know, we played a lot of video games and stuff of that nature. And I know I still play a lot of video games, maybe too much for my own good. Yeah, I was wondering what you guys think about that because, you know, me and my boys used to always go back and forth playing NBA 2K. But back in the day, you know, it was Jordan versus Bird and NBA Jam and, you know, all the different games we used to play. I don't know. Did you guys play those games?
And NBA Live, 94, 95. Used to love that game.
Oh, back when Live was good, right? Yeah.
Double dribble, steal.
Double dribbles, old school.
Double dribble.
I was telling John about this. I was like, you know, I think it'd be funny to talk about this because LeBron said the other day when they were drafting teams, they drafted the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell and Gobert last, and he was like, yeah, we never played with the Jazz growing up, so it's like and it's true. It's like, you know, whenever I was playing like NBA Live or any, you know, NBA 2K, whatever it is, I'm taking like the old school Charlotte Hornets with Larry Johnson or
Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy Bogues. Golden State Warriors were a fun team to play with. The Kings, like all these teams would score and stuff.
It's true. It's true.
You know.
I mean, I might be an aberration because I did play with Utah.
Stockton Malone.
But then I realized that I couldn't continue. I didn't like playing with Malone. Like I couldn't really do stuff with him. He was just a big guy. I don't know. So I didn't like playing with him. But I did try. You
didn't like running pick and roll offense? Stockton Malone.
I used to light him up with Hornet Check. You kidding me?
Oh yeah.
He had a water gun. I used to be like, whoa, for 3.
Actually, you know, back in those days, I used to play with the Knicks a lot, but the most fun I ever had was playing with like the old. I used to love playing with the Charlotte Hornets, but my 2 favorite teams to play with were the Golden State Warriors with Mitch Richmond and Hardaway and Chris Mullins. But my
and
other
they had Weber too at one time.
They did have Weber. Yeah, they're right.
Like it's one season.
The other team that I loved playing with was Phoenix with Dan Marley. I don't know. I had a blast playing with Phoenix. They were fun.
KJ.
Thunder Dan.
KJ was one of the best dunks in the history of the NBA is when KJ dunked over Olajuwon.
Right.
Yeah.
Little guy over big guy is always going to be a great dunk.
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. That was L Train's guy, you know. We all friends with L Train. KJ? He loved him some KJ. KJ and Barkley, when they play together, you couldn't tell him that.
Yeah. I know he loves Barkley.
I remember he used to love Barkley. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun team.
So
that was a fun team. I think they could have beaten the Bulls. There were only a couple teams, I think, during the Bulls run that I think could have actually beat. I think the Knicks were one of them. And the Knicks always had like one game where they just Charles Smith game where it's like they always blew it one game and that was it. You lose one game that you're supposed to win, and it was over. Like then, back in the day, it used to be like you had to hold home court. If you didn't hold home court, you were never getting it back. I feel like it's not like that anymore. Like you could home and win on the road, but then it's like home court. I think the Knicks were like 40-1 one year at home, which to me is just it's unfathomable.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, you know, I kind of have a little theory about that. It doesn't apply to today's game because everything's changed so much. But back in the day, I used to have a feeling that if your big man is your main scorer, your main attraction, it's going to be hard for you to advance throughout the playoffs. I felt like you always had to have some type of pivotal guard in order to take you over the hump. And that's evidenced by obviously Jordan and Pippen always killing teams, Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, and Joe Dumars having those guards. Yeah. But what I based it on, because obviously I'm a Knicks fan, and seeing Ewing always being the guy and not having that other piece that was consistent, because even though they had good guys, Starks, and there was, we know Starks wasn't consistent.
Right.
But I looked at Houston. Houston won, right? But they didn't win until they brought Drexler in, right?
True.
So that's the thing.
Right.
Like Elijah One couldn't do it by himself. You needed that other pivotal guard to kind of take you over the hump. And so, unfortunately, the Knicks didn't have that guy at the time. But it is what it is. And when they did have it, Ewing got hurt.
Right. Yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, it's just a shame that Ewing never in his prime had that one guy that could take the pressure off of him.
Right.
Like Ewing always had to deliver, and then he could get away with it because it was more defensive minded. I don't think I think that team would not be as good in this NBA as they were back then, because then it was just it was more of a league. It was a slow down. It was a slow down game, half court game. Now it's just very offensive.
What's interesting is that when you say that, the one guy that I always thought, and I think when they made the trade and they moved him out to Seattle, I don't know if you guys recall, but Xavier McDaniels, I think that was the big one for me. It was like, man, you lost that kind of rugged toughness. He can score from the outside, go to the basket. He always has Scottie Pippen's heart, right? Like Scottie was always like, Scottie never played well against him. And it was like, you gave him up. You know what I mean? And we didn't really get anything for him. You know what I mean? That was the kind of killer.
That was a mistake. And you know what? That shows, like, for me personally, and I'm sure some of my friends too, because we never really talked too much. We liked the X-Men, but we didn't really talk too much about who he was. Xavier McDaniel was nice. Before he came to the Knicks, he averaged 20-something points a game. Like, he was a top scorer.
But
so
I didn't.
That
was the number two. That was that guard, because then you also still had Starks, right? Starks was younger. Stark would be coming up. You know what I mean? He scored buckets. So then that's the trio that we were we needed to keep, and they moved on from him. And I think was that the Charles Smith move? Was that I can't recall if Charles Smith came in that trade, but
I don't know.
It could have been. I don't recall, but I know like soon after that, we never had the kind of, we had Mason. Mason brought back some of that toughness, but it wasn't the same. I think Mason was probably, they played together, right? At one time?
Yeah. So. They did have a moment. I was going to tell you that, just because you brought up Charles Smith, I just want to tell people out there, listen, everybody knows about Charles Smith and his infamous can't get a shot up, not getting the foul call. But Charles Smith was actually a pretty good basketball.
Oh, he got buckets. He definitely got buckets. He if it wasn't for a lot of the games that he played against the Pacers, we probably wouldn't got past the Pacers. He was vital in those.
I think he had
matchups.
A couple good games in the finals versus the.
No, he had some skills. He was a good. He just had a really bad, like one moment in history that those defining moments, like a Bill Buckner moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Starks had the same one for 18, and we lost Jay.
2 for 18. Don't change him.
Oh, two for 18. Our comrade Jay stopped becoming a Knicks fan. Oh, he gave up on the Knicks after that game. He's like, he couldn't do it anymore. I was like, that's hilarious that you couldn't push past that. But that's what can you do, man?
And he was on fire the game before. Like, he could have missed a shot.
This is what I'm talking about.
They would have won the championship if Elijah Wan didn't get his finger on that last shot, because he was not missing that shot.
There's a lot. It has sports is there's a lot to do with happenstance and what do you call that? That's the thing. Superstition. Yeah, I mean, people always point to OJ, like, oh, OJ is the reason why the Knicks didn't. That was game 6, okay, and we lost game 6, but we still could have won in game 7, and nothing happened.
So true.
It's just like with the Bill Buckner game. Bill Buckner gave the game away. The ball went through his legs. The Mets won to push it to a game 7, but Boston could have won in game 7. It is what it is, man.
I can't believe that we're actually talking about the Mets right now.
Look,
Anyway,
you see the colors? How can we not mention the Mets? You see the colors?
Moving on. That's why I brought my gray. I brought my gray for a reason.
I'm a Mets fan too. I'm excited about the Mets.
Oh man, Mike, man, listen, I knew there was something about you, buddy. I know, we
got Lindor. Lindor is going to be.
Yeah.
Promised land this year.
I give you guys credit. I love Lindor. He's a native son of Puerto Rico, so you can't go wrong with that guy.
Now we got an owner with a big bank account. So I'm looking to play some Yankee games now.
That's been the case, though. The Wilpons have tons of money. They just gave it up to their own investor.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
That's true. I agree, man. I think that we're in for some really good times in New York. Whether or not you're a Brooklyn Net fan, which I'm not, they've got a fun team to watch. The Knicks have a good team, an exciting team to watch. The Yankees are going to be good because they still have a good nucleus around them. The Mets are going to be much better this year, so it should be fun times in New York. It should be a good time finally. All we got to do is fix the Giants.
Better than what it's been, that's for sure.
We just got to fix the Giants. Let's not forget them. And the Jets.
So
and Jets. Yeah, Jets. Just as I watch football. Let's forget about football.
but anyway, I just wanted to say that it's great to have you guys both here. And I wanted to touch on just real quick, maybe like second half predictions of what maybe the Knicks might do, starting off with possible, will they make any trades? If they do make a trade, is there anybody you think the Knicks might go after or you'd like for them to go after? Starting with you, Mike.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks. I think the Knicks will be in the mix for the playoffs, obviously. And I think 10 teams make it this year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10 teams.
I think there's 10. So I feel pretty good that they're going to get to the playoffs. And I was going to ask you guys, what are reasonable expectations as a Knicks fan for this year? In my mind, this has already been a win. I've already enjoyed the first half of the season. I'd like to see them get to the playoffs and be competitive in a first round matchup. Fact of the matter is, they'll probably be 7, 6, 7, 8, or 9 seed, and they're going to play Brooklyn or Milwaukee or Boston. All of those teams right now, they're more built for championships. But the Knicks, in my mind, this year have at least made the team in New York a more attractive destination for potential free agents, right? Free agents were not even thinking about us because it's like, well, right. Ownership is all screwed up, coaching is all screwed up, everything's all screwed up. I don't want to be viewed as the savior, right? And kind of Randall came here, and I don't think people had like huge expectations out of him. Mm-hmm. Where it was like he was going to be the savior. He's a nice player. He's good. He's he's going to be double, probably average 18, 19, and 10, but he's not going to be the savior for the Knicks. And so he's kind of, I think, been able to grow and develop better because he hasn't had that pressure on him. To be the savior of the franchise. Kevin Durant comes here, everybody's expecting him to win the championship day one, right? Mm-hmm. And anything less is a failure, right? And so, look, this has been, I think it's been a successful season for them so far. I think making the playoffs, being competitive in the first rounds, winning 1 or 2 games would be nice. If they steal a series, that would be, in my mind, that is like almost
we celebrating all night.
yeah, exactly. Especially if we beat I think the championship for the Knicks this year would be to play Brooklyn in the first round and knock them out somehow.
Oh man, that would be the best of the best. I'm talking. You think of a pandemic, man? Right. Nobody's gonna talk about. We're gonna be in the streets, no matter what the situation.
Like zombies out there, yo.
Right. I think
like we beat Brooklyn. It's a wrap.
I think the Knicks will end up, I think they'll be above 500. I think they need to use this second half to evaluate guys like, Lakina and decide, is he a guy worth keeping for the long haul? I think he is, quite honestly, because he's very good defensively, and he could be a 3-and-D guy in this league. I don't know if he's going to be a lot more than that, but a 3-and-D guys in this league have been very successful and have very good careers and find a role on any team. And why not? Why can't it be the Knicks? It's just a matter of what does Frank want at the end of this? I mean, Peyton's eventually he's not the long-term solution. Rose, I think by the end of the season, Rose will be the starter going into the playoffs, which makes, quite honestly, if you can get picks for Peyton, I'd probably move him. I just don't know who would, you got to think about what teams would give up something for him or really need, and maybe like the Clippers need a point guard, they need some point. There's a couple teams like in the mix, but it's not, they're probably not going to get a ton. So if you can get any draft capital for Peyton, I'd probably do it, because I think he's not integral to your success in the playoffs, and they're probably not making it much further than the first round. So you just got to think about the future. And I'm sure the Knicks players that are on the team now are like, we're going to win the championship, but championship's really hard to do unless you have 2 or 3 superstars on your team.
So let me ask you, Mike, if in your opinion, what would be 2 of those players? Like right now, when you look at the landscape on who's out there and who's kind of projected as a potential trade, what players in your mind could make a difference? And kind of get us over the hurdle and make it not to win a championship, but like get past the first round.
Well, I mean, I know Beal's been dangled out there as a potential, trade chip in Washington. He would be, I think, an ideal piece for the Knicks. He can shoot. He can, he's a slasher. He can shoot. He can open up the court. And Knicks don't have a lot of shooters now, so I think he would be a guy that I think could maybe not get them all the way there, but then they're maybe one piece away from being a real contender.
Right.
I mean, the fact of the matter is there's probably 5 or 6 guys in this league that'll get you the championship, right? There's like LeBron, I think
Curry,
Doncic, Curry could get you there. Giannis, maybe.
He's right there. He's right there.
He's there, but he might be able to get you there. But if you don't have that guy, it's tough. So to win a championship, so you gotta build the pieces of the team to lure that one guy. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of guys out there. Like I was kind of hoping for Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a great player.
But then he got signed. Yeah, he got signed to a long-term.
Giannis signed a long-term deal. I mean, the only way you're getting some of these guys is if you trade for them, and then unfortunately, if you're trading for them, you're giving up capital, right? To get Beal, you're probably giving up R.J. Barrett. You might be giving up Marcus Robinson. You might be Marcus Robinson. Like all these guys, Mitchell Robinson, and then they're not that close anymore, right? Or they're taking probably taking a step forward, but it's not a monumental leap forward.
Right.
You know, in this NBA, I think a lot of times it's just signing the big names or hoping that, you know, you get a Zion in the draft that just changes the course of your team. And so like now the Knicks, unfortunately, the Knicks have been bad for so long, but never got the first pick.
Right.
So they've never been able to like take that transcendent player with the number 1 pick.
Right.
You know, so they've had to try to lure free agents, and they've just been unable to do so because ownership's been kind of a mess, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, it's one of those things. What do you think, John?
Oh, well, I was also thinking, like, you know, like, and just to go back to like what we talked about in our previous episodes, right? We've thrown some names out there, like, you know, Drummond and Ross. Can you imagine kind of a move that if we are able to potentially make some moves to pick up a Drummond and a Ross, could that take us past the first round, you know, hurdle? You know, like it all depends, you know, like what do you need, you know, and who do you give up, right? Because for me, it's like what I know now that we didn't have before is that we have assets now. Like we have all these assets of players, you know, potential play, you know, you think about Peyton and how much potential he can bring to other teams now. When before, no one was really looking at Peyton as a viable option for their team. Now there's teams that are looking into him, you know, and the same goes for Ntilikina. The more he shows that he can play top level basketball and stay consistent and be on the court, then, you know, the teams are going to be vying for players like that. And I think it's important that we keep building that.
Mm-hmm.
But also keeping those first round draft picks if you can, you know what I mean? And seeing what that next year's draft looks like. You know, it's supposed to be the deepest, you know, but, you know, it's also a lottery, right? Like you don't know, like you could potentially grab a bust, you know what I mean? Like
right.
It's happened before. So for me, it's like if I'm gonna look at the team, and I'm almost sure Leon Rose is looking at this in this way. He's like, how can we continue to get better now, and then go into next year with some potential draft picks and make the right decisions, right? You got to always look at your team and say, I'm going to upgrade when I have an opportunity to upgrade. And if that means bringing a guy like a Terrence Ross or a Drummond, if you can make the right move, then you make it. And then you worry about that later. You know what I mean? You worry about the numbers later, you know, because that you could always figure out.
I mean, if you get Drummond for, you know, affordable and cheap, and I mean, meaning you're not giving up a ton of draft capital,
Mm-hmm.
or good. I would do it, but I wouldn't do it for like, you know, I wouldn't do it for a key piece of the team.
Right. Like I wouldn't give Mitchell Robinson up just to get him because that doesn't make any sense. Right. I would do it where, and I'm not going to give up Barrett, but because especially now that we know that Cleveland is potentially not going to sign them. You know what I mean? They already made it known. So at that point, they don't even have leverage when it comes to like any trade talks. So
but would you you trade for Drummond? Do you give him a max contract at some point?
I don't know. I mean, he's what, 27? You know, I just don't know. I mean, you probably won't. I mean, if I'm Leon Rose, I'm not trying to give him the max deal. He may want the max deal, but I'm also looking at him and saying, hey, you haven't proven it in the big stage yet. So
Ron, what did you say about big guys in championships before?
Hey, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
Different, right?
Yeah.
It's a different game now, right? Like it's a different game. So for me, it's like if you make the move, you make the move, and then you just gotta, you know, figure out what the numbers look like, you know, because you need an upgrade. You know, obviously he's an upgrade now to Mitchell Robinson when you compare the two now. Not to say that Mitchell Robinson can't get better, become a better passer off the post, a better scorer. He could potentially become that, but right now he's not that. So, you know, in my opinion, I'm like, if you can grab a big, go get him. Like you said, if you can get him up for a steal, you go grab him. And then if it doesn't work out, then you have an additional asset to pass on, you know, for next year. So, there's so many opportunities. Like I even also enjoyed the Redick conversations, like people who have talked about Redick. and he's an older player, but you need a knockdown shooter. It's a guy who can knock him down.
Right.
No, yeah, I agree.
Right. Are you talking for pieces for this year to be more competitive, not so much for the future? I think this year, I think they have enough. I don't think they're going to make an upgrade major enough where they're making it much further than they would with the team that they already have. So I would be, any move that I make, I'm thinking like, could this guy be a potential long-term piece to our future? And is this a guy I'm willing to give up assets for because I'm potentially going to sign him to a max contract? Bradley Beal would be a guy that I would sign to a max contract in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would with Drummond, especially when you got Randall and you got Nerlens Noel does the more defense. I mean, Drummond does a little bit more offensively.
Right. And he rebounds the ball way better too.
Right. He does.
And he can catch the ball. That's one thing on the offensive end. Right. And I mean, I give Nerlens Noel, right? Like he's done a great job, but he's also like undersized for that position. Right. When you look at going up against Embiid or, any other big, what's the Joker from, what's his name?
Jokic.
Jokic, like, come on, like you can't battle guys like that. Even Bam Adebayo, like you can't, like Noel's going to do what he can do, but he is an undersized center. I potentially think he could play better if he was at the forward position. You know what I mean? But there's no space for him there because you got Toppin and you got Randall. So, in my opinion, and they may just go for a journeyman center, right? Because I would take that option in a heartbeat. Like I've been hearing Kyle O'Quinn potentially coming back to the Knicks. I'll take it. I'll even take Tyson Chandler, and you know what I mean? Like I'll take that at least until Mitchell Robinson gets back. But for me, if you have a chance at a guy like that and you can get him on the cheap, take advantage of it. It ain't gonna hurt. You know what I mean? So
no, I mean it makes sense. I mean, I think that I don't think the Knicks are gonna do too much. I think that they may make one minor move that is not really too big of a deal, but it can help the team. It might be just one of those guys who's just a straight knockdown 3-point shooter who doesn't even do much else, but just somebody else who can stretch the floor for them. Because I think that they know that they're not ready to really do too much, even if they make the playoffs. But just making the playoffs, first off, where they're at right now is a win for the season. And if they make the playoffs, that's another, you chalk that up as another victory. And if you even win a series, forget it. We'll go nuts. But the point is, it's to start to a point where you just.
What's be funny though is like the city. We win a series, the city will be ours, and then the Brooklyn Nets can win the championship, and no one would care in New York. They would just be like, "We won a series."
If anything, people would be just like, "Okay, they won, but they had a better team than us." Next year, we'll get
supposed to win, right? Everyone's gonna be like, "So what? They're supposed to win with all of those players."
Yeah, exactly. So I think that I don't expect them to make a major move. I think they'll just basically do something real small. And I'm expecting, because I did a little quick math while I was here, and looks like they've played 37 games so far. It's a 72-game season, so that leaves 35 games. I could easily see the Knicks going 20-15 because I think they play a much better brand of basketball now. So them winning 20 games and losing 15, that puts them 6 games over 500, which I think is a very nice season for them, and that would give them 39 wins. I was expecting 32 or 33.
That's a huge win if you get that many wins.
I could see it. I could see them doing that because Thibodeau's style of play with their defense and how they've been coming together, I think they could win 20 games. And I think 15 losses, still 15 losses, but I could chalk those up. So it could go either way by a couple games or so, but I still think that that's something that's obtainable for them. I also think that the Knicks are going to try to hold on to as much assets as possible because I think they're going to go into this next draft hoping to get some type of talent wherever they pick. Because if this draft is supposed to be stacked, like John was mentioning, then they have a good chance of getting talent. And let's not, we can't lie. The Knicks have been pretty good at drafting guys, even in the later rounds lately. So, maybe that's good for them. But I do think, I will say this now, after this year, Knicks go into the draft, they get whoever they get. Well, whatever remaining assets they got, those other picks they got, they're going to start making some moves. I think next year is going to be the year that they said, okay, I mean, there's only so much we can take. Thibodeau's like, I need to start getting some winners in here. They're going to start shipping out some pieces.
But there aren't already like, when you look at the scope of the land, there aren't that many free agents available. Like Kawhi Leonard, if he is, he's not going to go nowhere. You know what I mean?
What about Towns? Is Towns a free agent soon?
No, Towns signed a contract, but you would have to make a move. But Towns will be one of those guys. Like the Knicks may say, "Listen, okay, we got our draft picks. We got 2 more players on this team that might be good. Now it's time to pony up. We're going to send the farm for Towns." And Towns I wouldn't be mad at it.
Pounds want to be playing on the Timberwolves if they're 7-30.
But also, what is his relationship like with Coach Tibbs, right? Because there was some friction in that team. You know what I mean? We don't know if that had something to do with him or just the ownership. But it was like they ended on a sour note. Like that relationship did not end so well. So we don't know. I know, barring everything that Jimmy Butler was talking about, he was like, these kids don't care. They're not motivated. They're, you know what I mean? Like they self-absorbed. Right. So he was just, so that's Towns plus whoever else was there. You know what I mean? Like that's, and Wiggins, you know what I mean? They were the main 2 guys. So, I mean, he called them soft. He did all the things that you don't want to hear from a coach, a Tibbs coach team was said. And he didn't deny it. That's the funny part. He didn't deny it.
Right. But, you got to look at it like this. One, a lot of that vile and vitriol, big word, came from Butler.
I see you.
Butler was the one who was spewing a lot of it. I mean, of course, he has Tibbs's ear. He knows what's going on. But a lot of that came from Butler. And even though Tibbs may have been really strong and tough on the guys, he's come a long way since then. And from what I heard, him and Towns have actually had some type of communication, not while he was with the Knicks per se, but since he left, Minnesota, and they have come, they're not on bad terms. So, I mean, I don't know how Towns feels inside personally, but I think maybe Towns also might be learning a valuable lesson himself. He's a young superstar thinking that, okay, this is going to be my team and, we're going to win my way, and things have not worked out. So maybe he's also learned that, look, I got to take a page from these veteran coaches. They know what they're doing. They know how to win.
Right.
So, you never know.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Right. Yeah. Guys change early in their careers. Early in their careers, it's making a name for yourself in the league, putting up numbers. And then you get late 20s and you see like your window to win a championship start closing. And you're more
and then they just start meeting each other and saying, we're going to all play together, right? Because like Blake Griffin is going to Brooklyn. I'm like, what?
So why not play in New York? Why don't these guys get together and say, let's all go to New York? It's a great place to be. It's one of the top markets in the country, in the world.
I agree.
You're going to get exposure. Why not come to New York? And it hasn't been a conversation in the last 20 years because we've just been a very unattractive destination for the most part because of the ownership and kind of a lot of the GMs like Isaiah Thomas and it never seems like we always screwed up with the GMs, but like
it's been crazy. It's been wild.
Yeah, but now now it seems stable. It seems more stable. So a free agent come here and be like, okay.
Oh, this guy said the S word.
He said stability, stability. What?
Maybe we're just all getting too excited. Or drinking the Kool-Aid in this first half.
Pump the brakes, man. What is this S word stuff you're talking about? Hey, man. Well, look, I think that we all can see that the Knicks are definitely moving in the right direction. Things are picking up. We've got an all-star to talk about. We've got a young guy in Obi that maybe the second half it will be a chance for him to turn the corner. Hopefully, we'll continue to get that same type of production that we've been getting from Quickly and even more. Maybe he starts to work on the other parts of his game to help him become a more all-around player. And then we get maybe a surprise from someone on the team that hasn't stepped up, like a Knox or somebody, and really takes their game to a next level. I hope.
I thought you were going to say Bullock because I'm tired of those 4 for 14 nights.
No, I don't think that's no.
His defense is there, but come on.
No, I think with Bullock, he is what he is. He's a journeyman player. We know what we got.
Telling you, I can't. He shoots the ball a lot. I'm just what is going on?
Well, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
I've been pulling for Knox for I'm always like, oh, come on. You're just like,
give him a chance.
Get there. just get there because when you drafted him, everyone was so high on him, and he's got a nice shot, but the fire you need to see. I think you need to see more fire out of him.
Honestly, I don't think he's meant for New York. I think Knox is going to wind up getting traded no matter what at some point. And I think when Knox gets traded, if he's fortunate, maybe he gets traded to Minnesota.
There you go.
And then he goes
Carl Anthony Towns. Carl Anthony Towns for Knox.
Straight up. Yeah, done.
We can get that done.
Yeah, maybe he gets traded to a team like Minnesota where they don't have that star anymore, because I would think, Towns would be gone. And then he gets a chance to play big minutes and come into his own, less pressure, not a big market, less, fanfare and media scrutiny. I think that would help him. Because I think Knox would be a decent NBA player. He might need a different setting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. So a lot of these guys are coming out so young now. I mean, like they do 1 year of college and they're out, and Knox is 21, 22.
He
and
was 18 when he came out.
Get rid of him.
It's
but
crazy.
He's still only 21, 22 years old. He's the same age as Toppin right now, and he's like, get rid of Knox. It's
But I think no, go ahead, John.
It's funny that he said they given because Toppin is the one who's taking those minutes right now.
Right.
Like when you look at the team, I mean, we talked about this in our last episode, Ron. It's like if Toppin doesn't start becoming aggressive the second half and isn't putting in the effort defensively or offensively, I could see Knox coming back into the fold. Just because that's where I see the minutes being pulled from. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
We'll see what happens, man. But listen, Toppin has got some of that all-star blood now. He's got it in his veins. Maybe he comes out. We'll see what happens. But I do think that it would be nice for Knox to have a chance to make it somewhere. And I also think that, look, I mean, we've seen Coach Tibbs for a while, how his teams have been in the past with the Bulls and stuff. I mean, if he looked at this roster and could pick his ideal team, some of these guys would be gone already. So it is what it is. Yeah, but we'll see what happens going forward. I'm interested to see what the Knicks are going to do. I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to continue to talk about them next week. We're going to kick off the second half and see what happens. I don't know if they're going to the new games start on Tuesday, right? The next set of games?
No, it's Thursday.
So we won't have much. We won't have much to talk about, but at least there'll be some basketball, and we can see how they come up.
We'll be talking about the Bucks game.
That we will.
We will. I tell you one thing. I am going to go to church. I'm gonna light a candle, and I'm gonna light that candle on behalf of hoping that Frenchie gets placed in front of Bullock, because I would like to see that.
Yeah, you got thumbs up for the franchise. Okay.
I would like to see that. I would like to see Bullock take a back seat to Ntilikina to see what that looks like as a starting rotation.
Well, we'll see what happens. It'd be nice. I think, look, he hasn't done anything wrong, and his jump shot and stuff has been going in. I can't be mad at Frankie. He's been doing good. So we'll see what happens.
He's got to go. He does have to go to the basket a little bit more, though. That's all I say.
No.
There's a little side to side, you know.
The aggression is still something he needs to work on. I hope he gets there. But, you know, I don't know. Certain guys, man, I don't know.
Yeah. It's not like Buck is aggressive. He just misses everything. It's like, what are you doing? You're doing a reverse. Right. He did a reverse layup twice in the last game we played, and he missed them both. It was the same damn play. How you don't know how to throw no English on that? Come on, man.
I mean, look, man, some of these guys, I don't know. I think they just I honestly, I think because of the way Tibbs runs his teams and not knowing when your next minute is coming, you try to do too much. You're overthinking things. That's true. Some of these guys got to go out there and take one lesson from Fizdale. One lesson. Go out there with the mentality to just play. But that's it. That's all you can take from Fizdale. That's it. Everything else, you forget it.
Toss it out. Toss it out.
Well, this has been great, guys. I just wanted to, say thanks for joining me once again, John. It was a pleasure having you with us, Mike. I like your insight. I like the fact that, you brought some of that West Coast flavor with you.
It's got the sunset and everything. I don't even know the guy no more. Jeez.
We definitely want to get you.
No, we got to bring him on. We got to definitely.
Yeah, we definitely want to get you back, man. I wanted to say, did you have any parting words, any shout outs you want to say?
Well, I want to, congratulate you guys on the podcast. I think what you guys are doing so far, it's been, it's been great, and you guys are progressing, and I'm happy for you both. And I think,
thank you.
You're providing a lot of Knicks insight that's valuable to all the Knicks fans out here, and even us West Coast guys, we appreciate it. Keep me grounded. But I think I'm excited. I'm excited that I would say the Knicks are back. We're back and we're competitive. Everybody knows it. We're kind of on the league's radar again, and we're not a laughing stock. And so that's
we got games on prime time television now.
Right. It. And every year I go into the season thinking like optimistic, like I think the Knicks might be pretty good. I think this year I kind of went in and it's like we're probably going to be, and then we're actually pretty good. So this is a pleasant surprise. I'm enjoying watching the games as opposed to years past where it was like just torture to get to the fourth quarter and the frustrating. And I'd be like, by halftime, I'm like, wow, Knicks look pretty good. And then they just get blown out in the third quarter. And I was like, oh, it's the Knicks all over again. Honestly, I feel like they at some point this year, they kind of turned that corner. And, they were struggling to get to that above 500 or even 500. It was like they were so close. And then when they got to 500, I'm like, all right, now I feel good. I feel like we're right. You're right at 500 now. It's nothing but up.
We're a real basketball team.
We're a real basketball team again. So
for real.
I'm excited about the rest of the season. I'm excited for you guys and love to come back. Anytime.
We'll definitely get you back, man. We'll definitely get you back. Right. And Brother John.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any parting words?
No, I don't. I just want to say I'm looking forward to the second half of the season. I'm thankful for all the fans that tune in and for all of anyone who wants to check us out. We have our YouTube channel. We're on our 12th episode going on 13. And, this was kind of just like spontaneous. We were talking one day and we was like, hey, we were talking basically basketball. And then we was like, man, it would be funny. We should join the podcast because like everyone's doing podcasts nowadays. And that was kind of like what we were thinking. And it was like, yeah. And we were joking at first. And then I was like, you know what? That's not too far fetched. You know what? Let's just do it. And then Ron was like, okay, if you're down, I'm with it. I was like, okay. So then we just listen. It was hilarious. The first episode was like Matt Incognito. We just threw it on. I didn't have Nick gear. I had like what did I have? A Fright Fest shirt on It was hilarious. I wasn't even prepared. I had a Yankee cap on. I was like, we're doing this. So
That's it. Just gotta jump out there. Put your feet in the water, you know. See if you drown or swim.
I had a little bit. I took some water in a few times, but
no, I don't really do that. I'm too. I can't swim, so I always got a life preserver on.
Man, this was fun though. I appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.
No, definitely. Thanks for being on once again. Thanks for you guys tuning in. This has been the Still Knicks Fans podcast. Know the Ledge. You know, we love chopping it up with you. Like John said, you can catch us on YouTube. We're also on Instagram at Still Knicks Fans, or you can catch us on Twitter at Still Knicks Fans. We'd love to hear from you. Comment down below, subscribe, all that stuff. When we put this on YouTube, we look forward to seeing you. Take care till next time. All right, fellas.
Peace. All right, later. Have a blessed night.